I don't know what's wrong with me, but the last few days I've been so tired. I'm actually exhausted for no reason. We had no UFC last weekend, so I got a good sleep in on Sunday. I slept for 12 hours on Friday night. Last night I slept for 12 hours. I went 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. went to work, and I'm still so tired. So there's going to be one big video. It's not going to be that good, unfortunately. I don't know why, but I'm so tired. Yeah, that was probably a waste of 30 seconds, just letting you guys know that I'm tired. But yeah, Grasso versus Araujo, the final fight night before UFC 280. Hopefully I can sort something out. I don't know what's going on. I am sleeping a lot, you know. But UFC 280 is coming up. I have probably never been more excited for a fight card ever. It starts at midnight my time. You know I'm probably not going to sleep that night. I cannot wait, man. I actually cannot wait to see Oliveira versus Makhachev. But before that, we've got to get through Mike Jackson versus Pete Rodriguez. Honestly, I don't really see why this isn't the main event. This is actually a very exciting fight that I cannot wait to watch for no reason. Both guys are strikers. I do expect the fight to take place on the feet unless Pete Rodriguez looks to clinch with Mike Jackson. I know Jackson before coming into MMA, before being an MMA photographer, this and that, and what he was up to. He was I believe does have some sort of kickboxing experience to my understanding, but in MMA for the most part he tends to box a bit, doesn't really throw too many kicks. Same sort of thing with Pete Rodriguez. He's a power boxer. He's going to look to land something heavy on Mike Jackson. He should beat Mike Jackson, and he should beat Mike Jackson by knockout, but I don't know where Pete Rodriguez goes after this. I want to see him at 155. I think he would suit 155 a lot better than 170. I definitely think that there's space for him to make a lower weight class. Or if not, I want to see Pete Rodriguez take on Darius Flowers. I think that would be a banger fight at 170 if they decide to do that. But yeah, Pete Rodriguez is the pick. I'm going to pick him by knockout, probably in the first round. Now, CJ Vergara taking on Tatsuro Taira. I've got to pick Tatsuro Taira in this matchup here. As you guys know, not really the biggest fan of Vergara. He does bring a pretty exciting fight though, I can give him that. But my guy just needs to forget about high school, man. Like, his whole build-up, his whole story is how he set up like a fight club in high school. And it's like, dude, you're 31 years old. High school was probably 15 years ago for you now, man. Like, you just got to move on. And Tatsuro Taira just kind of got out of high school low-key. This guy's 22 and a half years old. Really good grappler. I believe he's doing this training camp in Japan. I believe his last one for his debut was in America. But he's done this training camp in Japan. What got him to the dance in the first place? He's a great grappler. His wrestling's pretty good as well, but for the most part, he is a grappler. He has got okay striking. I think if the fight's on the feet, Vergara should probably win it. But I'm gonna expect Tatsuro Taira to get the fight to the mat at least at some point. I mean, Clayton Rodriguez was shooting for takedowns on CJ Vergara. Got 2 out of 7 officially on that one there. Don't know how Vergara got the nod, actually. That's one of the worst decisions of the year, to be honest. But yeah, Taira really should win this matchup here. Otherwise, I would be a little bit concerned for his future. Now, Pierre Rodriguez taking on Sam Hughes. I'm picking Pierre Rodriguez here. It's very hard to be confident, though, because Sam Hughes has looked so much better than she did less than a year ago. She's made that many improvements rapidly. I mean, she gave up everything, moved to Fortis MMA, been training full-time with them, beat Estela Nunes. Estela Nunes looked really good in the first round on the feet, and then she kind of gassed out and was out-grappled by Hughes in a pretty good fight, I guess. It was okay. And then she beat Elise Reed by TKO. And Elise Reed, you know, she's not the best fighter in the world, but she's not a bum. But Pierre Rodriguez, she should win this matchup here. She tends to lose the first round and then kind of come back. She lost the first round to Machado. She lost the first round to Hansen and come back. She should be able to beat Sam Hughes. I think she's the better striker, the more powerful striker out of the two. It's actually an interesting fight. I feel like most women's 115-pound fights do go underrated. I'm going with Rodriguez. I think the fight probably should go to decision as well. Joanderson Brito versus Lucas Alexander. So this is a very short notice replacement fight. This fight was literally booked like 2 days ago. Lucas Alexander stepping in on around 1 week's notice or so. I guess he's an exciting prospect. I know Joanderson Brito's 1-1 in the UFC. I mean, he lost his debut to Bill Algeo, and then he did beat Andre Fili by KO. But that's kind of what Brito does. I feel like if the fight goes 3 rounds, Brito's going to slow down, and maybe Alexander could take over. But because he's taking the fight on short notice, he might not have that cardio to do that. I think Brito's going to get a finish in early on here, because that's his style. That's kind of what he does. I know he did beat Lopez by decision, but he is a very strong fighter in the first round. Picking Brito by finish. Maybe Alexander could win a couple of fights in the UFC, but he beat Jacob Kilburn, 8-5 guy. I think maybe potential former UFC fighter. The guys that he's beaten just aren't that great, and then his last one's by injury. It's like, I don't know. Maybe Lucas Alexander would have been a Dana White's Contender Series guy, but I mean, you got to take these opportunities when they come. Now Nick Maximov taking on Jacob Malkoun. Picking Maximov would not be surprised if Malkoun won though, and low-key, I wouldn't mind it if Malkoun did win, because if he did, then there's like a guarantee that he's going to fight on the Australia card, and I'm going to the Australia card. Not that Malkoun's the most exciting fighter in the world, because he's not. But it would be good to see Malkoun coming off a win, coming into that Australian card. Looking forward to it. I think Maximov should be able to win this one though. I mean, I said that about his fight with Andrei Petroski. We'd seen Andrei Petroski taken down and submitted before by Aaron Jeffrey, who's now in Bellator, and I thought that Maximov should be able to do the same sort of thing. Maximov got subbed quickly. Impressive performance for Petroski though, not gonna lie. And he beat Soriano, out-wrestled Soriano. Soriano has all these wrestling credentials, but I picked Maximov in that fight, boys. You know, I picked Maximov in that fight because Maximov has underrated wrestling credentials himself as well. I know Jacob Malkoun does too. But for the most part, though, he actually does have a pretty good boxing background. I feel like maybe if the fight was forced to be on the feet, maybe you could see the 2-0 professional boxer Jacob Malkoun look pretty good. But I think it's going to take place on the mat. I think Maximov just has got that grappling advantage. I think that he could utilize that to win the matchup. But I could see Jacob Malkoun getting on top and staying on top for 3 rounds too. So it's a tough matchup, really. Assunção taking on Henry. Assunção, really good grappler, a very underrated fighter. I think a lot of people are forgetting how good Assunção was way back in the day. I mean, he's 40 years old now, but he's been around for a very long time, back since the WEC days. Fought Uriah Faber back in 2010. I mean, Uriah Faber, like low-key kind of still doing it, not really, but kind of. Went on a good win streak, beat TJ Dillashaw. The one that I wanted to talk about, though, was more recent, the Rob Font win, and he looked really good in that one. That's actually his last win. Apologies, we haven't seen him win since then, but he looked really good against Rob Font. I think he even dropped Rob Font at one point in that fight. He beat Marlon Moraes by split decision. He beat Aljamain Sterling by split. Like, this guy's wins on paper, you would think that this guy would be the best fighter, best bantamweight in the world, but unfortunately, age has caught up to him. He's not the same fighter again. He rematched Moraes, lost that. I don't think we're going to see Henry get a KO, honestly. I mean, we did see Henry outstrike Barcelos, but he's actually a better grappler than striker, in my opinion. That's his main skill set. But I'm going to pick Henry by decision. Ooh, or do I? If he puts a pace on Assunção, if he throws like 300 strikes like he did against Barcelos, he probably could get a finish eventually. But I'm going to pick Henry by decision still, actually. It's a tough one, though, it is. Mana Martinez taking on Brandon Davis. I think Martinez gets his first KO in the UFC. He's never got a KO in the UFC yet. He's got a decision win over Guido Canete, split decision. Not really the best look in the world, but there was a lot of factors going on in the background before that. Knocked out Jose Johnson, who's now in the UFC. Very well aging win there. Knocked out Casey Jones, 7-4 at the time. Lost to Draco Rodriguez on the Contender Series. Not the worst, not the best loss, but when he lost to Ronnie Lawrence, that was a nightmare matchup for Mana Martinez. Like, that was a nightmare matchup, and he had success on the feet. And that's the thing about Martinez, he's a really good striker, and if the fight stays on the feet, I think he's going to be very live for a KO here. There's a reason why Mana Martinez was signed to the UFC off only a 2-fight winning streak, and that is because he's got KO power in the first round, and I think that Martinez is going to get a KO in the first round in this matchup here. I like him in this fight. Minifield versus Serkinov. I feel like it's a weird fight. I feel like Serkinov might have a better chance than some people think. I mean, only 12% of people picking Serkinov, but Serkinov maybe would be able to impose his game. But he's really damaged his record, and he's really damaged his momentum by going down to 185. In my opinion, he shouldn't have done it. He lost to Ryan Spann, who's like a borderline ranked fighter, might even be a ranked fighter right now. And he's like, yeah, let's fight at 185. We had a close fight with Jotko, which is a pretty good look. Then got submitted by Turman, and now he's going back up to 205. I feel like he should have stayed at 205 the whole time, you know. Like, he beat Jimmy Crute, you know, and Jimmy Crute, I think, is also a ranked fighter right now, but he's injured, so maybe he dropped out of the rankings. But I think Minifield, Oh, it's a tough one. I don't really rate Minifield as highly as some people do. I'm going to pick Minifield. I like his power and I like his wrestling, but I kind of like Serkinov's grappling as well. I think if the fight's on the feet, Minifield should win. I think it's a really tough one though. I don't really know. Yeah. Dusko Tudorovic versus Jordan Wright. My first underdog pick. I think maybe my only underdog pick on the card as well. I'm going with Jordan Wright here. His back's up against the wall. If he loses this one, he's probably getting cut. I know he's an exciting fighter, but on a 3-fight losing streak, 1-4 in your last 5. I don't think Jordan Wright's going to be able to stick around for a little bit longer after that. Same thing with Dusko, though. If Dusko loses this one, he might get cut as well. But Dusko's been losing to low-key better competition. He lost to 7-0 at the time, Soriano. Lost to Gregory Rodriguez on his come-up. Lost to Julian Jacquani on his come-up. He beat Mikey Patolo in that sort of run there. Jordan Wright lost to Joaquin Buckley, who I guess is somewhat borderline ranked. Jamie Pickett he beat, who's going to get cut after losing to Bo Nickel. Lost to Bruno Silva, really underrated fighter. Looked terrible against Meerschaert though. Marc-Andre Barriault, tough one. But I'm picking Jordan Wright here. He's so kill or be killed. And Dusko Tudorovic has really bad striking defense. That's just not something he's ever fixed. So I'm going to pick Jordan Wright. I think he's going to land something. I think he's going to get a KO on this matchup here, man. It could go either way, though. Maybe Wright gets KO'd, and I look stupid. But I'm picking Wright, man. That's a weird fight. Both guys are against the wall. I think Wright's probably more likely to find the finish. Oh, don't quote me on that. That could age really badly. But Askar Askarov versus Brandon Royval. If someone's getting a finish in the fight, it probably is going to be Brandon Royval. Maybe Askarov puts Royval in those really tough positions that Kai Kara France was able to fight out of in the first round. Kai Kara France is the best defensive grappler in the flyweight division, and he's proven that in multiple fights. He proved that against Askarov, and he proved that against Bontarine, I believe it was. But Askarov should be able to beat Brandon Royval if he stays safe. If he doesn't stay safe and Brandon Royval starts to do crazy stuff, he could get a finish on Askarov here. I think Royval's pretty live for a KO on the feet. I think he might even be live for a submission on the mat. Askarov is going to have to stay safe here, man. Royval's a very, very exciting fighter. Probably one of the most exciting fighters on the entire UFC roster. I like Royval. I think, though, I'm going to pick Askarov and keep him safe. Some people think that Askarov beat Kai Kara France, which makes no sense. In the third round, Kai Kara France outlanded Askarov 3-1 in total strikes and 2-1 in significant strikes. And yet some people believe that Askarov won the third round. It makes no sense to me. But I think Askarov does win this fight. I think it does win it by decision. Maybe if he gets Brandon Royval in a really tough position, up against the cage, takes his back standing, maybe locks up a rear naked choke against the cage. That's definitely something that could happen. That's what Askarov was working for against Kai Kara France for a long time and almost got it too. Yeah, I'm going to pick Askarov by decision here. Martinez versus Swanson's a tough one because I don't really mind the Cub Swanson pick. But the reality is he's almost 39 years old and he's moving down a weight class. I don't know how I feel about it at this point in his career. I'm not too sure what the intentions are. I don't know if a 39-year-old Cub Swanson has a title run in him at 135 pounds. You know, I feel like at this point maybe Cub Swanson should have dropped down to 135 to maybe fight like Frankie Edgar, even in a catchweight bout at 140 for Frankie's retirement fight. Or maybe drop down to fight Rafael Asunzel. I mean, that would have been a mismatch. But, drop down and fought like a veteran, you know, someone like that. And now he's dropping in and he's fighting an up-and-coming, hungry Jonathan Martinez, who's really going to try and make a name off of Cub Swanson. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I don't think Martinez gets a finish. But I do think that he's going to win a decision over Cub Swanson. He's actually a pretty underrated striker as Martinez. Outstruck Vince Morales, who's a wrestler who fell in love with his hands. The Alejandro Perez win, I think, is actually pretty good. Does Varashvili win? I don't think Zvard Varashvili ever fought in the UFC again. I think that's the undefeated guy that lost. My Chrome has crashed. Awesome. And then because he was fighting so dirty, he got cut. And he's never fought again. Wow. What a waste of a prospect, though. Like, I know he was a pretty dirty fighter, but he probably could have done something with that record, but it is what it is. Yeah, just wasted a lot of time. I apologize. Move on to the main event. I don't think it's a great main event. I know it's like number 5 versus number 6, but it just tells you how weak the women's 125 pound division is. Women's 125 was made for one reason, And like it or not, it was to pad Valentina Shevchenko's legacy. That's it. That's literally it. So they can probably call her the greatest of all time over Amanda Nunes. That's kind of it. That's it. Oh, I'm sorry, but it's just how it is. But yeah, Grasso and Viviane Araujo are top 6 fighters in a division. Like, you compare that to like the men's lightweight division. You compare that to the women's 115-pound division. You compare that to literally any other division, really, and it's just like, wow, like, this is just not a good division. It's like the women's 145-pound division and 125-pound division. They're not great. They're not that great. But it is what it is, man. I'm picking Grasso to win a decision over 5 rounds. I think that she's going to have a pretty good advantage over Araujo here. I know I saw a Serial Chiller, I think it was, in my comments. I like him. He comments a lot in my videos. I appreciate that. I think he mentioned that that Grasso is a former 115-pound fighter, and I agree. But the thing is, in this matchup, though, Grasso was actually slightly taller than Araujo. And she was a 115-pound fighter. I believe her last fight at 115 was Jeon Kim. So, that was about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, at least. And in that time, she's obviously had time to fill out to the 125-pound weight class. If it was Alexa Grasso moving up from 115 to 125, I feel like that would make a factor. But because it's been so long, she's had time to fill up that extra 10 pounds in the weight class. So, I don't know. I don't really agree with that too much here. I think Alexa Grasso is the much better boxer here. I think if Alexa Grasso was a much better grappler, she would be a pretty unstoppable force. But I like Grasso's boxing. I like her work on the feet. I think if Araujo tries to get the fight to the mat, I don't think she'll have too much success. Araujo's also almost 36 years old, which is getting quite old for any fighter, especially a lot of these women's fighters as well. They retire a lot sooner than the men. And I think a 36-year-old Viviane Araujo, like, maybe she could be like some myth like Sarah McMahon, like 42 years old and still doing it. But yeah, I'm gonna have to side with Grasso in this one. She's young. She's not even 30 years old yet. She's probably in her athletic prime now, coming into it. And I think Araujo at this point, she's either having a late prime or she's on her way out. And her last win over Andrea Lee's cool. But it's Andrea Lee. I don't rate Andrea Lee that highly, even though I actually picked her to win that one. I looked like a bit of an idiot. But some people, I think it was again Serial Chiller, said that maybe she beat Chukagian, but I watched that fight and I'm not sure. It was a close fight though, and Caitlin Chukagian is the perennial, the undisputed #1 contender at 125. I guess she's like that gatekeeper. You beat Chukagian, you get title shots, sort of thing. Yeah, I'm still gonna side with Grasso though. I don't think it is a good main event though. I think you've got to agree with that. We've had better main events. I mean, Duran versus Jan was a bad main event, and this is even worse. It's just like it just could be better. I don't know. I don't know who else is ranked at 125 that would have been ready to fight on this card, but I mean, there has to have been better main events. I don't know what Fiorot and Chukagian are up to. I don't know when they're fighting next, but yeah, I think that would have been a better main event, to be fair. But yeah, they're fighting on 280. Why didn't they just make it main event this card? It's what it is. It is what it is. Picking Grasso. Apologies for the terrible video, guys. As I said, I actually am exhausted. I'm so tired. I don't know why. What's going on with me? But hopefully you enjoyed the video at least. I think it's going to be a really good card. The main event is a little bit underwhelming, but the card itself is really good. So I look forward to it, and I can't wait to watch it. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one, man. I'll make a video tomorrow, hopefully, if I don't fall asleep at 7 o'clock like I did yesterday. And we'll see, man. We'll see. I don't know what I'm going to make a video of. Maybe UFC 280. Everyone's talking about 280 because it's so stacked. So maybe I'll do that too. Man, I'm hyped for this card, man. What a card. Oh, man. It's so good. I want to be able to be this excited for UFC 284, because I'm going to UFC 284. There's no official belts announced yet, I don't believe. But, oh, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I cannot wait to watch it. Alright, I'll see you in the next one. Appreciate the view. Thank you for making it this far. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you.